Hello and welcome to the Wrestling Answers podcast. I am your host, as always, Miyamoja53, joined as ever by my wonderful co-host, Joebot22.
Ooh, what a wap. Hello, everyone. I think I need an entrance theme for me because I'm so,
Was that supposed to be the Road Warriors?
yeah.
I thought it was. Right.
What a wap.
Yeah, what a rush, what a whap.
It
That's what
works.
I'm saying. Yeah, of course. So, I think we'll just crack on, shall we? This is which episode is this? Episode 8. Yeah. Episode 8. But we're not doing 8 segments. Ooh, got him.
If there was ever an episode to do it, it's this one.
Yes, but I can't be bothered. So
Episode 100, we're doing 100 segments.
Are we
Be here for days. Oh, no. Subject 56, we're talking about the Elimination Chamber match.
Yeah, we move on to Fastlane 2019's main event. Just do like individual matches for the subjects. We just run out of things to say. Right, so we'll start off the show today with something it's on the tongues of every wrestling fan at the minute. Bad pay-per-view names. Ooh, why is it on the tongues of wrestling fans, you ask? Well, because they've decided to rename Backlash WrestleMania Backlash. Even though it's not WrestleMania, it's not right after WrestleMania, it's what, 4 weeks after WrestleMania now?
Oh, well, I think it's their only opportunity to actually do something after WrestleMania because God knows they haven't yet.
Yeah, no, that is true.
But that's pretty much it.
Yeah, but yeah, there's I don't know why they've changed it to WrestleMania Backlash. The only reasoning I can think of is because the name WrestleMania is more easily marketable than Backlash. And I guess Backlash is the pay-per-view where you have like your rematches and stuff from WrestleMania.
Well, I don't know why they're doing Backlash at this time of year.
But they usually do Backlash as the first pay-per-view after WrestleMania. They did it. Oh, they've been doing it as the first pay-per-view afterwards.
But
no, I think that was if you go back to like the 2000s, like late 90s, early 2000s, Backlash was introduced to be the pay-per-view right after WrestleMania, and then they just got rid of it, and then they introduced all sorts of pay-per-views and stuff to take its place. Extreme Rules was for a time the like early May, late April pay-per-view. But then after the brand split, I think they just brought back Backlash, and ever since then it's been, as it used to be, the post-WrestleMania pay-per-view. So I can see why you would remember it as being Extreme Rules, because for most of the 2010s it was Extreme Rules. But you're wrong, so sug on that, bitch.
I apologize.
You better. No,
Anyway.
yeah, anyway. Yeah, so if we talk about like bad pay-per-view names, which ones pop into your head? First and foremost, really.
Over the Limit, that was pretty stupid.
That one is pretty rough.
It makes no sense. It doesn't make sense to a match. I mean, it makes
An
sense
over the
from
limit match where you win by speeding.
no, nothing happens. It's just it looked nice, had a nice color scheme, like, but it was just stupid. It's a stupid name. Like, what does it mean? Over the limit. It's not like
What?
anyone went over the limit. It's not like anyone like overextended themselves and like. It's not like Vince came down and fucking tore his quads again. That would be over the limit.
That would
But,
be quite far over the limit, yeah. Well, I think
but just nothing
maybe
happened.
it's. I don't know, to be honest. I feel like the only reason I can think of for it being called over the limit is like, I guess you have something like, you've gone over the limit of John Laurinaitis matches. Because I remember, I think it was 2012? It was
It was
John Cena
2012.
versus John Laurinaitis. They've gone quite far over the limit of John
I
Laurinaitis
think
matches
Big
they're
Show
allowed to
came in
have.
for the
He
KO
battered
bullshit.
John. Yes, yeah. So you've gone over the limit of what you should be allowed to do in terms of John Laurinaitis matches. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it doesn't make a lot of sense. But then again, most wrestling pay-per-view names don't make sense.
Yeah,
Like you could make the argument that things like Extreme Rules or um, Money in the Bank, they're not exciting names, but at least they make sense for what they are. TLC and Hell in a Cell ones as well. It's like, yeah, they make sense for what they are. I wouldn't say they're good names, but I guess they work.
they do work. Yeah. I'm trying to think of No Way Out is pretty
No Way Out, I thought
stupid.
was all right actually, because No Way Out they turned into it was the Elimination Chamber pay per view beforehand, and the
Yeah,
idea is
I get
there's
the
no way
elimination
out of the
chamber,
Elimination Chamber,
but
like that.
after they stopped doing elimination chambers at No Way Out, but I'm talking like 2010s here.
Oh
It's just
yeah,
stupid because like they would have the No Way Out as like a steel cage match, which the point of it is to get out.
I was gonna say yeah, steel cage match. There's no roof on it. You can just get out. Like
Like
if they were doing it for
there's a door on it,
yeah, yeah,
and it's not like Hell in a Cell where it's got a chain on it. You can't get through the chain.
yeah. In a steel cage match, you can tell the ref to open the door, and then you can just leave. Like
It's just stupid name.
what's another bad
Uh,
name? A lot of the In Your House pay per views had shit names. There's a In Your House Beware of Dog.
but where that was pretty bad. I mean, it
That
works for
one
the in
was
your house theme, but
yeah, but a lot of the In Your House ones were a bit silly. Like I remember they did In Your House Degeneration X, and the only reason I say that's stupid is because you've named a pay per view after a group. Like you wouldn't say you wouldn't make a pay per view and then call it the Hurt Business, would you?
no, not,
It's just it's a weird name, especially because I think there were only like two matches on the card that actually had Degeneration X members. It would make sense if every single match on the card had Degeneration X members in them. So, like, you had like a singles match between X Pac and I don't know, fucking Crash Holly, and then you had Triple H versus The Rock or Stone Cold versus Road Dogg. I don't know. Like, it's one of them pay per views where I think WCW did it as well. They did like NWO Uncensored, and the whole point of that was the NWO had taken over, and it was an NWO branded pay-per-view. It wasn't called WCW Uncensored, it was called NWO Uncensored. So the pay-per-view is being ran by the NWO, which are, they're a gimmick. So you've got gimmicked refs, gimmicked announcers. Every single match has an NWO member in, of which there was like 30. So you had fucking Big Bubba Rogers. The big boss man was a member of the NWO, so got to get him in there somewhere. Like, and also, I don't know why it was called Uncensored, because they still censored things. Like, you get it with WWE now. They say a swear word halfway through a match. They censor it. They did that as well. So it's not even uncensored. It's a lie. They're lying. They should call it WCW censored or NWO censored or whatever. You know?
I did Google some bad WWE pay-per-view names.
Oh,
And,
let's hear some.
We got, of course, Over the Limit. That comes up first.
Fatal 4-Way.
Great Balls
That's
of
a terrible
Fire.
one. I didn't mind Great Balls of Fire. I thought it was alright.
Stupid.
I mean, at least they had the song.
Bragging Rights. December to Dismember. Fatal
Oh.
4-Way.
December to Dismember is a bad name because it was like a parody. Not even. I don't know what to call it. It's not a parody. It's like just copying November to Remember, isn't it? So it's like,
yeah.
Well, you could have just done your pay-per-view in November and then just call it November to Remember instead of making it fucking Christmas themed. And then all your matches are shit as well.
There's also The Bash and Capital Punishment.
The Bash. That was a time, wasn't it? Fucking. I think the only reason they took the Great American part out of the Great American Bash was because it wasn't in America. So they hosted it in Canada, so they couldn't call it the Great American Bash. So they called it The Bash, which is that's probably one of the stupidest pay-per-view names. Like, The Bash. Well, what does that mean? You know?
Oh, here we go. Here's a bad one. Tables, ladders, and chairs, and stairs.
Yes, I remember that. That was a couple of years ago, wasn't it? They had a stairs match, and oh my god!
What year was it? Let's have a look.
2014, I want to say 2014, 2013. It wasn't that long ago, and it is the stupidest sounding pay-per-view name in ages. Because it's like TLC is already a bit of a dumb pay-per-view name.
It was 2014.
Yeah. So like it's already a bit of a dumb pay-per-view name, and then they're just adding and stairs. So like, what are you supposed to call it? TLC and S? TLC and stairs? TLCs? Like it's getting on my nerves.
It was pretty nice. Let's have a look.
But yeah, I think, to be fair, actually, thinking about it, there's probably more bad pay-per-view names than there are good pay-per-view names. Like, if I think of good pay-per-view names in the WWE, there's probably about 5, 6 maybe. Like, I can't think of any. I know WCW used to have some shite pay-per-view names. Like, they had one called Greed, they had one called Sin. Like, they're just going through the 7 deadly sins. Like, I'm surprised they didn't do, like, WCW Lust or WCW Gluttony, and they just have 2 fat lads in the main event.
You just have Rick Rude coming out.
Rick Rude versus Ric Flair in the main event.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, like it. I'm trying to think. Did TNA, to be fair to them, actually weren't that bad with their pay-per-view names? I think the only bad one I remember was they did like a hardcore pay-per-view and they called it something stupid. It was like hardcore justice or something. Yeah, hardcore justice, because they have a pay-per-view called Hard Justice already. But they were doing like a TNA reunion, not TNA, sorry. ECW reunion show. So they had they had RVD, Sabu, Rhino, Tommy Dreamer, all them lot, and then they just the Dudleys as well, and then they just sacked off the actual pay per view and just made it an ECW reunion show, which I thought was really strange. I also think the name Hardcore Justice sucks. Hard Justice, I don't mind it. Destination X, I actually don't mind Destination X because the destination was the X Division title, I think, because it used to be like the big X Division pay per view. So Destination X sort of made sense. Bound for Glory sort of makes sense. Slammiversary sort of makes sense. And then you got like Hard Justice, which is kind of yeah. And then Victory Road, which I've never liked Victory Road's name. I've never liked any of the posters either because they just look like shitty road signs. Half the time the pay-per-views were crap as well.
Sounds like a bloody Mario Kart track.
Victor, it does a bit, It does a bit. And they would always name them like they wouldn't name them by the year strictly. They would say like Victory Road 09 rather than Victory Road 2009. And that always got on my nerves because like it sounds a bit pedantic, but you could say, oh well, it could have happened in 1909 or 2109, Just call it by its full year.
True.
I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna get like that mithered about it, but it's just me being a bit nitpicky. I just don't like Victory Road. Never seen a
You'll
good
get that
Victory Road
Victory
pay per view.
Road.
I've never ever
Oh,
in my life seen a good Victory Road pay per view. So that's why I hate it.
2001.
But yeah, are there any other bad pay per view names really? AEW. To be fair to them, have actually had decent pay per view names. Probably
They have
helps
a
they only
good.
do.
They've had
I was-
consistently good names.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
AEW, they have the benefit of using a lot of old WCW names that WWE didn't license. So like AEW have Bash at the Beach, and then they've got like AEW Revolution. I think Double or Nothing is a decent pay per view name.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
They did have Firefest, which I don't know why they did that.
I'm just thinking of the really bad fest.
No, exactly. No, that's what it was.
Was it literally just like, oh my god, what
Yes,
with a
I
Y?
think
Oh god.
I'm going to try and use my knowledge here. I think the reason they called it Firefest was because the documentary on the Fire Festival had come out a couple weeks before the pay per view, and on their YouTube show, Being the Elite, I think somebody just made a joke about it, and then fans liked it being called that, so they just stuck with it. And I think they hosted it at CEX, not CEX, Jesus. They had it at CEX in like Scunthorpe or something. No, oh, what's it called? Is it CEO, SEO, SAO? Ooh, no, whatever that gaming convention is called. You know the one I'm on about. It's like the it's one of the big ones in the US. It wasn't E3. I know that much.
Yeah.
I do know at E3, the Elite and the New Day did have a Tekken tournament once, and I remember I watched it. and the Elite are not good at Tekken. There's like it was like Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks versus all the New Day. All of the New Day actually knew how to play, and then Kenny Omega was the only person who actually could play the game on
It
the
says
Elite
nothing
team.
about the young buck.
Yeah, the Young Bucks, more like
Let them down.
old stinky farts who can't take criticism. Got 'em. But yeah, bad pay-per-view names. Other than Firefest, I think AEW is probably fine. Can't think of any for TNA other than like Hardcore Justice and Victory Road. WCW's got too many to count. WWE's got too many to count. And I don't think any other... New Japan? Actually, most of New Japan's are alright. Most of the time they just name them after like the tournaments they host, so... You know, Wrestle Kingdom. Wrestle Kingdom's a good pay-per-view name. Sakura Genesis, that's a good one. What's the... They do an... I think it's New Year. Can't remember what it's called. It's like New Year's... It's not New Year's Revolution, which is a really good name that I wish WWE would bring back. That was a cool name. But they had another... New Japan have like another one. It's called like New Year's Bang or some shit like that. That they host like literally the day after Wrestle Kingdom finishes. I can't remember for the life of me what it is. I just remember it's a shit name. But yeah, most of New Japan, they just call most of the pay-per-views after their tournaments. Like the New Japan Cup is the name of the pay-per-view. The World Tag League is the name of the pay-per-view. Yeah, stuff like that. Like, yeah, I think bad pay-per-view names. There's a lot. There's a lot of bad pay-per-view names.
Named by
Many
WWE.
bad pay-per-view names. And we've given you, the fans, many examples.
So yeah, if you're ever trying to think of some bad pay-per-view names, come here.
Yeah, just
And
watch the first
instead
20, 25 minutes of the WAP episode 8 and you're sorted, you know? But yeah, I think we'll move on from bad pay-per-view names to bad business practices, question mark. Ooh.
all
Big
good.
companies working with indie companies. So like when WWE started working with Evolve a couple of years ago, before they just made NXT UK, and then they killed Evolve. What do you think about it, Joe?
Well, I don't know much about them. Obviously, if they're killing, come really good thing. However, if it, well, at the end of the day, if it produces better wrestling content for the fans, it's not really a bad thing. But again, these are people's jobs, and they're just getting destroyed because WWE see an opportunity and they go for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
But that's really my my 2 cents on it. I don't know much about the situation, of course, but the little research I did, very little. That's
Yeah.
basically the 2 cents I got really.
Yeah. So I think it really is one of those situations where it's like it can go any way. Like we use WWE as an example. They've worked with Ring of Honor before. They've worked with some like Japanese independent companies. They've worked with obviously British independent companies for NXT UK. They work with like WXW in Germany as well. Like WWE do work with a lot of indie companies, and I think they don't really like when I say like they killed Evolve. I don't mean they have killed Evolve. Evolve still exists, you know. And WWE hosted an Evolve pay per view on the WWE network as well. I think it was one of their like big anniversary ones, and the WWE were like, "Yeah, sure, we'll host it, whatever." It's just, I feel like a lot of the time when they work with these indie companies, they work with they work with the indie companies so that they can get access to their big talent, use them on NXT for a while, and then eventually the talent will just say, "Oh, I'll just sign with the WWE then because I'm already working with them through Evolve or WXW or whoever. They're already working with them, so why not just go sign for them because they've already shown an interest in you and they've got more money." So it's like, ultimately, with Evolve especially, because obviously they hosted their pay-per-view, working with an indie company is good because it will bring eyes to the product. But it's also a bit of a two-way street, really, where they give them all their attention. They give them all like this, like attention and stuff. But in return, they're gonna want something, and that something is probably gonna be their biggest talents. They took Austin Theory from Evolve. They took Matt Riddle from Evolve as well. He'd worked in Progress. They took a lot of the UK wrestlers from like Evolve, Progress, WXW. Walter was the WXW champion when he signed for WWE. So it's like, I think he was anyway. So it's like they're bringing a lot of attention to these shows, but at the same time, they're also poaching their biggest talents because, well, what are the indie company gonna do? They've given them all this attention. They've given them all this I guess extra revenue and stuff, pretty much for free. Like, I doubt these companies are really giving a huge amount of their profits to the WWE because there's probably not a huge amount of profit to be made. WWE ultimately, though, the companies will owe WWE, so WWE can say, okay, look, we did all this for you. Why don't you just let us sign your talent? And then they're sort of backed into a corner where they can only really say yes, because otherwise you're just a bit of a dickhead. So it's like, it's really good for the company, less good for them being able to hold on to their talents. It's like, if I use like a football analogy, it would be like if a player was the top scorer in the championship, so like the second tier, and they were on, and then like the other company, not the other company, sorry, the club that they're at are working with, a club in the Premier League or something. So, we say like Derby County are working with Manchester United, right? And Derby, they've got the top scorer in the division. They're working with Man United for some reason. I don't know why they would, but whatever. They're working with Man United, and Man United say, look, we're giving you this platform to all our fans and such, because Man United, biggest club in the world, or one of, right? They say, well, why don't you give us that top scorer then? And then Derby can't really say no because they're backed into a corner. Like, well, we've gained all this like attention and stuff from working with them, and they'd be offering a bit of money as well, probably. We might as well just take the money, you know. It's something like that. Like, it's a situation where they can't really say no because they're backed into a corner, and it feels a bit like a dick move from WWE in that kind of aspect, I guess. Like, you could say, oh, they didn't need to sign Volta, sorry. They could have just let him stay in the Indies, which is from what I'd heard, a lot of what he wanted to do, he didn't want to move out of Europe to go sign for proper NXT. It's why he hasn't been called up from NXT UK to main NXT or even to the main roster. It's because he doesn't want to move to the US. He wants to stay in Europe, I think he lives in Germany, but he's also got a house in the UK for NXT UK, obviously. So it's just, it's a situation where the company gets backed into a corner. They can't really say no. And WWE, it feels a bit like they exploit it a bit,
Yeah.
They're coming
WWE's just a
in.
big kid on the playground, and Evolve's got the lunch money, and WWE.
Yeah, a little bit like that. It's probably more like there's the kid with the lunch money, and the big kid comes over and says, "Look, I'll protect you from other people coming and nicking your lunch money, but you have to give me a cut of it." It'd be more like along that kind of a line, I guess. Because it's not like they're strictly bullying them. It's more just like they're putting them in a position where they can't really say no to it unless like they want to come off bad, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't really think of many other examples really. WWE do it the best, I guess. I guess you could say Impact is a bit of an indie company now. I mean, historically they're not, obviously, but I guess you could say they are now. So, AEW are doing it as well. Last night was, I think it was TNA. I don't know. I can't remember what the pay per view is called, to be honest. It was a TNA pay per view. And, they had like AEW on it. Kenny Omega main evented it. He won the Impact World Championship. So he's like the AEW World Champion and the Impact World Champion. So it's like, yeah, these companies are working together. Again, I don't know if I'd count Impact as an indie company, but if you do, I guess that's a good example of it. But yeah, I feel like I probably said this about 6 times. I don't mind it. I think, as I said, it brings attention to the product. However, in the long run, it could end up being a bit shit for the indie company because they'll just sort of be used as like a breeding ground for top talent for the bigger company. They'll come in and they'll poach their best wrestlers or whatever. But now, I think I've got what I wanted to say. Joe got what he wanted to say across. We'll move on to section numero tres. That's a bit of Spanish for those of you that don't speak it. We'll talk about cheeky little screw job. Now, I don't mean in a pornographic content. I mean in the wrestling term. So, well, there's one very obvious example to give here, isn't there, Joe?
We're all thinking it. The old Montreal screw job. Yeah. Today. Yeah, we all love a good screw job, don't we? I don't think WWE.
It depends if you're the other. It depends if you're the one getting screwed. Because I
Well,
don't think Bret Hart really. I don't think Bret Hart really likes screw jobs that much.
well, he didn't touch WWE for like another 20 years. So, but no, everyone loves a screw job, and when it's done so little, I think it's better. As we always say with like roll up, DQ finishes. When it's good for the story and it's good for it's just basically when it's good, story wise, and when there's big enough heat already, that's been built up, it can be done really well. Can't think of many other famous screw jobs. I guess like Batista back in 2010, like Vince McMahon was just like, "You're gonna fight John Cena," after the Royal Rumble. That was a bit of a screw job.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
But yeah,
Well, I
I can't
think,
think of it.
yeah, I can't really think of any particularly recent examples. I guess depending on what you think of as a screw job, I was gonna say like when Reigns won the WWE Championship at Survivor Series 2015 and then dropped it straight to Sheamus. But I don't think that really applies because it's just a Money in the Bank cash in. I guess SummerSlam 2013 was it? Where
Oh, Brand
Triple H
Deal.
turns on Bryan.
Yeah.
I think that
That's
obviously
probably a
that's like that's a worked screw job. I think shoot screw jobs they're very rare these days, mostly because I think everyone seems to just get on in wrestling nowadays. It's not like how it was 20 years ago where half the locker room would hate the other half and they'd try and do everything they could to, I don't know, like break their ankles or something. But yeah, I think in terms of an actual legitimate modern screw job, I really can't think of any. Obviously, the most blatant example is the Montreal screw job. I think if we go further back, like historically, I believe there was one with it was Wendy Richter and the fabulous Moolah back in like the early 80s, where Richter got screwed out of the belt because Moolah was jealous that Richter got over, so they screwed her out of the belt. Um, yeah, I can't really think of a legitimate modern day shoot screw job. I think WWE like to always use the screw job for heat because I know they did it with. I think it was The Rock. Yes, it was The Rock versus Mankind. I want to say in Canada, so you know where I think they had The Rock win the WWE champion or WWF at the time championship under auspicious circumstances. And by auspicious, I mean he cheated. And they just screwed Mankind out of the title. But yeah, I don't mind a screw job in kayfabe. I think they can make for good storytelling if it's like if you're having like a feud with like the GM or something, like when Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were feuding with Shane McMahon. I think that was probably a screw job in there as well. Something like that works, I think. Um, yeah, if it's like there's no relation to the higher ups and it's just a random feud and there's just a screw job finish, unless they reveal like they paid off the ref or something, it doesn't make any sense to me to have that there. It's one of them ones where it's very situational in a worked sense where it can only really happen in a feud with like a someone with actual power.
You mentioned paying off the ref then, and it made me remember one. Back in Hell in a Cell 2012, Ryback versus CM Punk.
Yes, yeah, Brad Maddox,
Obviously,
yeah.
Brad Maddox blowed Ryback, and then CM
Low
Punk won.
blowed the big guy.
The big dog. Was he the big? Who was the big dog?
No,
Was
the
that?
big dog's Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And the big guy is Ryback.
I don't mean to disrespect Roman. Sorry. Sorry, Vince.
And we're back. Sorry about that. We had technical issues. Not the first time we've had that, unfortunately. Yeah, so what were you saying again? Sorry, Joe.
I was just saying, Ryback versus CM Punk, and apart from that, there's no more that I can think of. Because I mean, it works because they just don't do enough. I don't think they executed it that well in the case of Ryback versus CM Punk. I think they made him do like a lie detector test. That was a bit
Yeah, they had
ridiculous.
some. Yeah, they had some like stupid stuff on like the Raw afterwards and stuff.
But
I get what you
and
mean.
it was very intriguing for a fucking 9-year-old show. I
Yeah,
really enjoyed it. But no, that's that's it, I guess.
yeah. So I think we talked about screw jobs enough there. I think we'll move on
I
to
think we covered that.
section numero cuatro. That's 4 in Spanish.
Think I was
Wrestlers
struggling.
coming out. Wrestlers coming out in quotations here, normal clothes.
Yeah,
Now,
coming out in streetwear.
yeah, streetwear. That's the word I would use to describe it. Um, now, the reason I've put this in is because there is a thing. Pretty much, I was just thinking of Batista and his immaculate dress sense, and I was just thinking, actually, when wrestlers come out in quote unquote normal clothes, a lot of the time they look like goobers because most wrestlers don't really seem to have much of a sense of fashion, it seems.
Not at all.
Like, to be fair, Batista, when he came out in the full white outfit with the white turtleneck, I mean, it looked goofy as hell, but it sort of worked for him. Sort of.
He had the drip.
Yeah, then I think it was when he was Dickhead Batista. I think it was 2010. This would have been. He used to come out in a pair of sunglasses when he's in a fairly darkly lit arena at night. Then he would come out wearing a jean jacket with jeans on, where his jeans are sort of. I'm not sure if they were flared or not, but they were quite baggy jeans, and they would like hang over the tops of his shoes. And he looked like a scruff. And I don't know if that was what he was going for, if he was trying to look like a hipster or something. But he just looked like a homeless man, to be honest with you. And the sunglasses never worked as well. Apparently, and this is there's some reasoning for the sunglasses. Apparently, the reason he used to wear sunglasses for his promos you cut in the ring is because he used to get really bad stage fright, like in his earlier days.
So speaking of the audience,
Yeah, so he would wear the sunglasses so the audience couldn't see him like constantly like looking around and stuff and closing his eyes to try and like ignore the audience and stuff. So you know
that's
what,
kind of cool.
fair enough, I guess. You know, it's
Fair play, but kind of
probably the
sweet.
best way to get around that problem. However, you do still look like a knob when you do it. But I guess it's because, and I don't mean to be a bit mean here, but I feel like I'm going to be anyway. Batista was very good at looking like a knob. I don't know what it
Yeah,
is, but he always managed to find a way to look like a twat. Well, I guess it's good heel work, I suppose. Like,
every time someone comes out in streetwear, for me, it always just like, oh, they're gonna get ambushed, and I
Mm.
don't know why I think that, but
Well, it's either they're
every
going to get
time,
ambushed or they're going to
or they're gonna
ambush
ambush,
somebody else. Yeah.
and I don't
Well, it's
know
because
why.
like,
It's just it happens all the time, and I'm just,
well, it's because
it's
WWE is
just a
very
collection of
predictable, I
men.
suppose. Yeah, it's like WWE is very predictable. A lot of the time, if someone's coming out in streetwear, they're gonna be on like they're gonna cut like a promo or something, and
Yeah,
most of the time, somebody's gonna come out and they're gonna interrupt the promo, aren't they? So it's
or get
like,
jumped.
yeah, they're gonna either get jumped or they're gonna interrupt the promo or something or other. Like, I guess Brock Lesnar used to come out in street clothes, like all the time. Like he would always come out in his tracky bottoms with a sleeveless shirt on, and he would just fucking
Yeah,
bounce around the ring while
he
Paul
can,
Heyman
yeah,
chatted about him.
he can fight in anything.
Yeah, to be fair, like Brock Lesnar could come out in his fucking cowboy outfit and still put in a good fight. So
Come out in his pajamas,
mm,
Neil one.
yeah, he comes out in a fucking like Pikachu onesie or something.
Right.
But yeah, I
He
think
wears
wrestlers
he
coming
wears
out
like the
in
fucking divas.
yeah, he comes out in like
Comes out
full
dressed as fucking
cosplay.
Belle Delphine.
He
Oh
comes out in
god.
full cosplay as the Hammond. Like he's just rolling around in a giant ball.
Welcome
Yeah,
to the OAT, the Overwatch,
mm,
everyone.
yep. Overwatch Answers podcast. The old age pensioner is also what that stands for.
Oh,
Um,
it
yeah,
works. It
OAP.
works.
Yeah, old age pensioners Overwatch Answers podcast. They're all the same, really. You know, I mean, to be fair, you could probably sit an old person in front of a game of Overwatch and they'd do better than like half the people we seem to play against. Ooh, got him.
I've
But
actually
yeah,
I've got a story which includes video games and WWE. My nan once beat me at WWE 2K. It was 16.
uh,
My nan fucking beat me. Yeah. It's because I've not I had because what I normally do with the WWE 2K games, I normally buy one, then skip it, and buy the next one, just so I'm not wasting like 50 quid every year. Um, but no, so obviously the controls have changed from 2K14 to 2K16. So
yeah.
I
Well,
didn't
they
know what
changed
it
the
was.
engines, didn't they?
And my fucking nan just pinned me on my first ever match. And my family still bring it up, but it's just ridiculous. I was kicking off.
Turns out your nan's just like a massive smart.
She's a pro gamer, man.
Like,
I follow her on Twitch.
like your nan's just like, oh Joe, I can't believe you didn't kick out of the tiger suplex roll up pin combination.
I don't remember who she was playing, but
She's playing
I think I was
Kalisto.
Stone Cold.
No, she was playing like fucking Bo Dallas. She's just like, oh, I love Bo leaving.
Whoa, leave!
Yeah,
But anyway, back,
I,
back
I was
to
gonna
fucking.
say back to wrestlers in quote unquote normal clothes. Most of the time, to be fair, they just come out in like jeans and their shirt, like their WWEshop.com shirt.
Yeah, WWE. They
Uh,
need to come out in like the John Cena, Joe Swanson outfit. I mean,
yeah.
we've all seen the image. We've all seen it.
To be fair, I think these days, I was gonna say street clothes. They don't really come out in street clothes per se now. Like, you think of like the Miz. The Miz, when he comes out to do Miz TV, usually wears like a suit or something, which isn't
Yeah,
especially street clothesy. And then like I remember Sasha Banks. would always come out in like some fancy sparkling dress or something. And it's like, well, you're clearly not going to have a match in that, are you? Same as The Miz isn't going to have a match in a suit.
Well, you could.
I mean, you
What
could,
was
but
that
like,
one? It's like Santino versus Ricardo Rodriguez.
oh
Bullshit.
yes, it was like a tuxedo match or something. Yeah, but I mean, like, you wouldn't have like a normal match in, you know, a pair of fucking slacks and a blazer on.
No, cool. Can we just say that? I think we need to do a weekly quota of well,
Yeah,
we'll do the
Ricochet's
champion.
street clothes look like a. He looks like a dick.
Not Ricochet, not Ricochet. I mean, this
Tough.
TV is the
We've made.
only talk show that Miz
Oh,
has been on.
don't
Wink, wink.
don't you walk away from me, Daniel.
Oh my God, we need to get the Miz on. We need to recreate that.
We'll get Michael.
Don't you walk away from me, Jobber Jack.
Don't you walk away from me, Joe Dick and Balls.
Oh God.
But yeah, Ricochet in
Anyway.
street clothes looks like a gimp. He always wears skinny jeans. You twat. You bald bastard with your fucking flat Rangers looking hat. You fucking skinny jeans that only go down to like halfway up your shins. And then you wear loafers with
Right.
no socks. You fucking tramp. Disgusting. There you go. I've got my giving out about Ricochet out of the way now. Have you seen him in like regular clothes? I say regular clothes.
I'll Google it now.
His street clothes. He looks like a twat. Because he dresses like a gimp. Ooh, got him. And he doesn't wear a mask. Oh. Trolled again.
I'll search Ricky Street clothes to come up with a bunch of women dresses.
See, well, there you go. Not saying anything more on that. Just saying Google doesn't lie. But yeah, wrestlers coming out in normal / street clothes. It always feels like they're just going to get ambushed or ambush somebody else. They always look really weird because, like, wrestlers in a normal situation with normal clothes on, it never seems to work. I don't like it. That's really all I have to say. I just don't like it. It's weird. Scary. But yeah, we'll move on to section numero 5, where we'll do something a little different. I think we might have maybe done it before, but we're gonna do a little ranking. Ooh, cheeky. Little ranking.
Can I just say, I just Googled it, and I won't spoil it just yet until you introduce it, but this has changed hands 144
Damn. Not surprised, to be fair.
2 years.
That sounds about right. But yeah, we are doing the top 3 best, in our opinion, 24/7 champions. Now, Joe, I think you should start with this one because I need to think of who I put in third place.
Okay, so what I've gone for is the 3 who really when I think of the 24/7 championship, I think of these people because they sort of made it what it was. So I'll go for third, Jinder Mahal, because he was one of the first few. And of course, we had that amazing plain title change, which was incredible. Second was Drake Maverick, because he sort of, well, again, he kicked it off. He was one of the first few. And of course, they had like the hotel thing, and they had a good feud over it. And number 1, it's R-Truth. He just is the 24/7 champion. Like, it's
Well,
just him.
he is technically. Well, he is currently the 24/7 champion. Yeah.
Yeah, he's held it more times than anyone. So.
Oh
For
yeah,
me,
he's
they're the
held it
3.
like 45 times, something like that.
honourable mentions would be Titus O'Neil because he held it first, and also Mike Kanellis because he's held it quite a few times.
And he's a jobber. He's a goober.
He is a jobber. But yeah. Also the Singh brothers held it quite a bit.
They did, didn't they? I remember that. They held it
Well,
as
that changed
joint
a lot over like
champions.
a week.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
I
my
would say for
list.
my top three, it's quite similar to yours. However, there is one change in my top three. Number 2 is Drake Maverick as well. I think Drake Maverick did his best work in the 24/7 division, and obviously number 1 has to be R-Truth, because if you say anyone else, you're a liar. But number 3, I've gone with my boy, my man, my playboy, Mojo Rawley. Now,
Wow. Really?
I know Ginger, as that's what Eva Marie said once. Ginger Mahal. Jinder has had probably more of an impact on it. However, Mojo Rawley is my boy. I love him with all my heart. And also, he's held it more than once. So, I guess you could say he's eligible. And he was involved in that weird WrestleMania 36 angle where they had the Gronk dive off like a platform, which I thought was actually quite alright. And also, Mojo Rawley is a shagger, so he's got to go. He's got to go on my list. Going in 5th, just pips Jinder to the post. I would say Mojo. As a 24/7 champion, maybe not the most impressive, but as a human being, you've got to put him 3rd.
You say that, but I've got it here. So, should we do the top 10 of
How many
number of
reigns
rank?
people have had? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So number 1, obvious, R-Truth.
Yep.
Oh no, this isn't accurate. This is Fine Days that they've ranked it on. Okay. So this is who's held it the longest overall. So R-Truth first, obviously. Then Rob Gronkowski.
The
Then
Gronk. Yeah,
Rick
he held it
Knox.
for ages, didn't he?
Then Mojo Rawley and Bad Bunny. They held it for the same amount of days.
Come on, Mojo, my boy.
And Shelton Benjamin, Drake Maverick, Samir Singh, Akira Tozawa, and Elias.
Elias. Yeah.
15 days.
15 days
Jinder
get
Mahal
you in the
had
top
2
10.
reigns in one day.
Can't believe that.
Which is
15 days gets you a full day. Guess you're on the reign. Yeah, so for me, Mojo Jojo has to get in there. He's just a top shagger.
I did actually forget about Mojo, but I would probably put him at my number 4. Because I like Jinder
Yeah,
Mahal.
you better. Mojo, I'm shocked he never won the Universal Championship, to be honest. He had the talent. He had the skills on the
Did he?
mic.
Oh,
It's just because the WWE just don't want to see him succeed. That's all it is. They don't want to see. They don't want him to stay hype. That's all it is. They just don't want to see him stay hype, and it's a damn shame. Rest in peace, Mojo Rawley.
He's not dead. Right. Anyway.
Well,
Anyway.
the character of Mojo Rawley is dead. The person of Dean Mutati, sorry. The person of Dean Mutadi is not dead. And he will never die. because he is the spirit of Mojo lives on through all of us. But now we'll move on because we have ranked our 24/7 champions.
I guess it's up to me to take the Roman reigns on this one.
Donor.
So since it was such a hit last week, we have got another game. This one's called Elimination Chamber Winners. All right. I couldn't think of a name. Well, I'm gonna say a list of people. Jack has to say if they won it. There's no trickery in this one. I'm not gonna be like, oh, Triple H, 2002. Did he win it that year? No, I'm just gonna say the name. You're just gonna say, if, in the case of Triple H, obviously, yes, he was a winner of the Elimination Chamber.
He did win a Elimination Chamber, yes. It wasn't the 2002 one. He did win several.
But no, so yeah, there's no trickery in this one. I'm just going to say a name, you have to say true or false. So,
right.
First one, Jack Swagger. True or false? Did he win it?
Bit of Jake Hager. Ooh. He did. 2013.
That is true.
Yes, come on, because he had that match with Alberto Del Rio at WrestleMania that was shit.
Flying start.
Easy, mate.
Rob Van Dam. You got Diddy on. Rob Van Dam. True or false?
Ooh. I'm going to say no on that one. I can't remember him ever winning one.
Yep, that's correct. You never won it. Next is Kane. The big red.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with no on that one.
That's correct. You did not win.
Easy, mate. 3 for 3. Come on.
Next one is Shawn Michaels.
Yes. 2002 Survivor Series.
First one.
First one, yeah. He did.
Next is Ryback. We all love a bit of Ryback.
Oh, the big guy.
But did he win?
Yes, he won the Intercontinental Championship Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, that's true.
Come on,
God, you got these all right. You can't be stumped. Next is Bray Wyatt.
Good. Bray Wyatt, yep.
Yep, that's
2017.
True. Next is
Natalya. No.
Yep, that's correct. Never won it.
What's that,
can he get them all here? Can he get them all? Next is Alexa Bliss.
Oh, God. Oh. I'm trying to think if she won the first one. Oh, Jesus. I'm gonna say yes.
Yep, that's correct. She did win it.
Hey. 8 for 8.
There's 4 more to go. So
well,
I'm
2/3 of the way there. Come on, Gabon.
Next is Daniel Bryan.
Daniel Brioche. Yes, he has.
Yep, that's true. Sheamus.
Shamo. Ooh. That's a hard one. I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, that's correct.
Come on, let's fucking have it.
2 more to go. Will he get there? Kid and Cesaro.
Ooh, oh god. Oh god, I'm struggling here. I think no.
That is correct. And the last and
Ah,
probably the easiest one, Shayna Baszler.
yes.
Yeah, we all know she did.
Easy. 12 on
Oh,
12.
come on!
Look at that. Look at
I
that.
thought I thought the Sheamus one would catch you out because I know I know he's one of the guys who you would think would have won it by now, but when I was looking up, I was kind of surprised that Jack Swagger, Bray Wyatt, Ryback, they all won it because
I knew Wyatt and Swagger won it. I did have to think about the Ryback one.
obviously
'Cause
I watched Jack Swagger win it, so I don't know why it's probably just forgettable because
yeah, well, it was like he got a push, and then when it came to WrestleMania itself, they'd stopped pushing him already. So it was like great planning there, folks.
but
Yeah, that was. Hey, I'm goated.
I'll get you next week.
Yeah,
You'll
yeah.
see.
Good from it. Goated on the sticks.
I'll have like 50. I'll just keep getting questions until you get one.
You just keep giving me questions forever. The podcast goes on for
Did
like 9
Super
hours.
Mario win the Royal Rumble?
Super
No,
Mario in
Joe.
real life.
Anyway, that was the game for this week, folks. It's time to play the game. I forgot to do it at the start.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So I think it's actually quite a short episode today. I've just realised.
It has been.
Very
It's
very brief. I haven't waffled as much as I normally do. Uh, but yeah, we're moving on to our final segment, which, as always, is the segment where we talk about a wrestler. And which wrestler is it this week? Ooh, it's The Miz.
awesome.
I came to play. There's a price to
Can we?
pay. Something,
The
something,
Miz's
something,
theme
something.
song
The
is
Miz.
such a tune.
It is quite
It
good,
is
to be fair.
such a good song. Oh my
Mm.
god! Think about it now.
It is
I'll be
quite
putting that
good.
on after we finish. Be jamming
Yes.
out.
Oh, and I oop.
Anyway, so The Miz. What do we think about The Miz?
Oh, The Miz. He is The Miz. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think where to start with The Miz. He used to be on a reality TV show.
Oh,
Then he was on. I can't remember. Was it the first or was it the second season of Tough Enough? It was one of the very, very, very early ones back in like
I
2004.
don't think
I
I
tell you
don't
what,
think
it
it was
might
tough
have
enough.
been. It might have been the Tough Enough season they did where Daniel Puder nearly broke Kurt Angle's arm. It might be from that season.
I remember his season. They all like get body slammed by the Big Show
Yeah.
just on SmackDown or whatever. I remember that,
Let's have
and
a
I
look.
remember like the Miz selling it really hard.
Yeah. Okay, so he was on the fourth season of Tough Enough, and
Okay,
it was the same one that Daniel Puder was on. So he
there you
was
go.
actually on that season with Daniel Puder. I was right.
We got our
Uh,
historian.
yeah, exactly. I mean, don't ask me about anything that's happening right now, but I could tell you something that happened 15 years ago. But yeah, I can't actually remember what he did on Tough Enough. Like, yeah, he got body slammed by the Big Show. Probably tried to have a shoot fight with Kurt Angle, and lost within
Did he
seconds.
even win? He did win, didn't
He didn't win. Daniel Puder won Tough
he?
Enough, and the Miz came second. But they kept the Miz on anyway, and they just sort of stuck him in developmental for a couple of years.
They always do that. Like the winner never gets put on TV. Like the Velveteen Dream and the Mandy Rose. They were both on Top Enough.
Yeah, it took them ages to get on TV, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they both didn't win. I know. Maybe Mandy Rose won. I don't know.
Man, I think Mandy might have won it. Honestly, I haven't really watched I haven't watched any of the recent Tough Enough. I think, like, genuinely, I watched some of the old seasons of Tough Enough
I
because they
watched
used
it
to.
all in
Yeah, I think
the last
the
season.
only reason
I loved it.
I ever used to watch Tough Enough was because they would have the segments on like Raw and SmackDown back in the day. So like you'd watch
Yeah.
SmackDown, you get halfway through it, and then just all of a sudden, Tough Enough time, and then a bunch of like fucking geeks and goobers walk out thinking they're all tough stuff or tough
I
enough.
think they're tough enough.
Uh, yeah,
Hey.
they
I'm with
all
it. I'm
come
with
out
it.
looking like goobers, and then they just get battered around for 10 minutes, and then the show just moves on. And I was like, you know what? Let's just actually watch some Tough Enough, see what's actually happening. And then half of it's just like a bit shit. Like a lot of the early Tough Enough isn't good.
I remember the last one was just it was just like a fucking keeping up with the Kardashians. There's just a bunch of fucking
Yeah,
arguments every week.
the last season felt more like it was the fucking Total Divas than it
Yeah,
was than it
literally.
was actually Tough Enough half the time. Because most of it was like it felt really scripted rather than like the old ones used to be like fan voted rather than like wrestler voted. So like
I
the
think
fan voted
I
ones
think the
felt
last
more
one
real.
I think the last one was fan voted, but the judges did have an thing.
Mm.
So I think it was like Daniel Bryan Page and was in the
Yes,
team.
yeah. Was it Jericho?
He was the host.
Yes, he
He was
was.
not a judge.
Yeah, yeah.
He was the Anton Deck of something. And
He was
he had
just
like a
there,
rap battle thing with with the stars. But
just
it
sang
was
with
it was
Judas.
oh Judas is a lot.
Mm.
And
I think the
back to the
lyrics of
Miz
it.
though, because we talked
Yeah,
about someone.
we completely sidetracked onto Tough Enough here.
Oh, please let
But to
us
be
talk
fair,
about Tough Enough next week.
Tough Enough is actually fairly important when talking about the Miz because it is where he came from and like where he got his
Oh,
contract from.
absolutely.
But
But
then he sort of did nothing, and then the WWE revival of ECW happened, and that's sort of just used as their like third brand for up and coming guys. So we got guys like John
Yoshi
Morrison,
Tatsu.
Yoshi Tatsu, yeah, Ezekiel Jackson as well. We got like they pretty much used it as an early NXT, but it was less good and had quite a historic name attached to it.
I can't
And
even
yeah,
talk about Yoshi Tatsu's team.
the Miz and Morrison came through ECW as a tag team. I think they got over for doing like WWE.com promos where they would pretend to be like movies and other wrestlers and stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot like Edge and Christian and like Zack
Yeah, a
Ryder,
little
where
bit.
they build off the fans.
Yes,
And
exactly. Yeah.
everyone loves
Uh, I did actually go back
it.
and
They're
watch like
realistic.
I went back and watched like a couple of them before this, like last night, and they're not funny. But I think 15 years ago, I guess you might call them funny. I wouldn't call them funny now because they're not. And
Well, they were probably more directed towards kids, weren't they? The kids were the ones stalking through WWE.com every night, fucking reading all the art. Well, they weren't reading the articles, but they were playing the games. They were looking at the videos on
yeah,
there.
yeah, a little bit.
So maybe directed to
I
kids.
think, to be fair, back then WWE was more like WWE.com was probably more smarks. Like, you're not gonna get little kids going on there to watch fucking uh watch the WWE promos for ECW. Like, because nobody watched ECW, so it was like hamburger. It would have been the Smarks watching this, and they would have gone, "Oh, they're referencing other wrestlers." Ha 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 hee hee hoo, ooh, hee hee hoo hee hee hoo. Like wrestling fans are these days. It's why I don't really consider myself a wrestling fan anymore, because the stigma of being a wrestling fan sucks ass. Because they're all
Oh,
they're all smart ass bastards. Like,
I remember when I first
you go on
told
wrestling
someone I didn't.
Twitter, and all you see is fucking negativity, and it's people like, "Oh, well, instead of watching WWE, why don't you watch this Bulgarian independent promotion where they don't speak any English, and their main eventer is a 47-year-old obese man from fucking Krakow." Like, it's just let me fucking enjoy my wrestling, man. I don't want to watch your shit AEW you keep trying to force down my throat. I don't want to watch your shit in fucking indie wrestling that nobody else watches except for you and your dad. Like,
It's like kids who listen to like indie music. Oh, you've not heard of John Joe Dick'n'Balls? Oh, how
honestly, it's
dare
like
you?
that.
They
No,
they
it's
play a
like when
ukulele.
no,
Oh my
it's
god.
like
Oh,
stan culture. They're like, oh, you've never heard of so and so, whatever. Like, all them fucking Minecraft YouTubers. I know about 3 of them. I've never watched them. I don't
you've
intend
never
to.
heard of Wilbur Soot? Oh my
Well, I have
god.
actually heard of him. The only reason I've heard of him is because I used to watch Sut House like fucking 4 years ago before they stopped doing all that. Before he
Well,
left as well.
I don't know about.
Yeah. See, mate, I'm an OG. I knew Wilbur Sut before
He's
he
the
got
OG.
popular off Minecraft. You know, I was
I
watching
remember him
Minecraft
for
when it
the
was tiny. It was Tiny Turtle and Little Lizard, right? I was watching Tiny Turtle and Little Lizard playing Crazy Craft 3.0 for 200 episodes, right?
I mean, you know me. I was there in the Yogscast days,
Yeah, you were that. Yeah,
rocking
you
the
know,
roach on
mate, we're
Minecraft.
the OGs, you know. And talking of
We're
OGs,
too old.
the Miz was an OG. You know, he was
You
an
are.
OG of the WWE ECW brand. Uh,
Only we can get from Minecraft.
yeah, I had to try and transition back somehow. Um, but we think,
You know that Wikipedia game where you have to get from one thing to the other. We'll be great at that, aren't we?
oh, honestly, I'm actually all right at it. You know, I think I managed to get from. I can't remember what it was. I went from it was like Margaret Thatcher to State of Decay 2. Like, I think it only took me like 6 clicks as well. It was ridiculous. But yeah, back to the Miz. After him and John Morrison were like tagging on ECW, I think Morrison sort of just became a singles guy, while the Miz, at this point, the Miz wasn't doing a lot. He was wearing like shorts that didn't fit him, and he had a dyed mohawk, and he looked like a goober because he was a goober. He looked like a massive goober, while John Morrison's off winning ECW titles, you know, wrestling like CM Punk and Monty Brown, guys like that. And then the Miz, I think the Miz, I believe he became the host of SmackDown for a little bit. I could be wrong there. It was either SmackDown or Raw. I remember, like, literally for a couple of weeks, his gimmick was that he was the host of either SmackDown or Raw.
Yeah, didn't they get split up? And then they like trade
Yeah,
each
I
other.
think what
Like they
happened
have
was
a draft.
The Miz got drafted to one, Morrison got drafted to the other, and then Morrison got a push and the Miz didn't, because at the time everyone saw the talent in Morrison and nobody saw it in the Miz. Like, all the Miz could do was cut a promo,
Yeah.
and for the longest time that is all people saw him as. Good promo, can't work in the ring. And then we come to about 2010. He wins the US Championship. He starts the "I'm Awesome" gimmick and stuff like that. He's got like a load of shit gimmicks as well. There's like, he's got like T-shirts that say like, "Stop here if you are not awesome," and it's like, really fucking running this into the ground, Jesus. But he wins the US title, and then he wins. Did he win the Money in the Bank?
He did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he won the Money in the Bank the first time round, and he had his logo on it. His old logo. I think he still. No, he got rid of it when it became like the Hollywood Miz.
What was that logo?
I don't know. It looked like someone didn't know how to draw the Battletoads logo.
It was like Spike, like big fat face, like two eyes.
Hmm.
It was weird. I know. We'll Google it. What was the? You
Whatever it
carry
was,
on. We'll find
it
out.
was some weird fucking frogman hybrid monster thing. But yeah, he wins the Money in the Bank, and he cashed in on, I want to say, Randy Orton. Beat Randy. Well, he didn't beat Randy. What happened was Randy had just had like a really tough match or something. Miz cashed in, hit him with a Skull Crusher finale once, and then pinned him. But then they sort of turned Randy into a bit of a jobber after that. Like, they had him job to the Miz at the Royal Rumble, and then the Miz, even though he's the world champion, becomes a background element in his own feud, because he's feuding with John Cena, but John Cena isn't really feuding with him, if you know what I mean. This is obviously WrestleMania 27. He's feuding with Cena. Cena's feuding with The Rock instead, but because The Miz is also feuding with Cena, and The Miz is the world champion, I guess that's the excuse for the main event. So they have the main event of Cena versus The Miz. Miz's only main event of WrestleMania, and he won it. To be fair to him, but it's massively overshadowed by The Rock. And then, like, at the next pay per view, he drops the title to Cena anyway, like in 5 minutes in a steel cage or something. So it makes him look like a little pussy bitch anyway. But then after that, he just sort of sunk into the mid card again, sort of like he was before. Like, he won a couple of IC titles, and then he just sort of, I think he went away for a while to film the Marine films, and then he came back and he was, he turned into the Hollywood Miz that we all know and I guess love. He went away and became Hollywood Miz, and we got like Damien Mizdow as his backup. They became tag champions at one point. I think they were feuding over the IC title. Like, And yeah, they got over again. It's one of the very few times the Miz managed to get over as a face. But he got over, and then they broke up. Miz disappeared for a couple of months. Then WrestleMania 32 comes around. Zack Ryder wins the belt, but then the next night the Miz is like, I'll wrestle you for that belt right here, right now. And Zack Ryder says yes, and the Miz wins. Then he goes on to hold it for like fucking ages. You know, he has feuds with Darren Young, ooh, and probably some other people that I just can't think of because they were so boring. And then, I'll be honest, I can't really remember what he did for a while. I remember he had like Miz TV, he had the Miz Taraj, he was bringing Maurice with him to the ring and stuff. He disappeared off TV, and to be fair, she's only come back on TV in the last couple of weeks. But I mean, it felt like the Miz sort of shifted his focus away from wrestling for a bit. I'll tell you what I've just forgotten. The IC title feud where we got our quota, because in the middle of his feud with Dolph Ziggler, he's also having a feud with Daniel Bryan. But yeah, he had a feud with Dolph Ziggler, dropped the belt to Ziggles. And then I think he went into a feud with Dean Ambrose over it. I can't really remember. Just remember Dean Ambrose won the belt back, and then The Miz and him had a crap feud over it. And then again, The Miz sort of just disappeared for a bit, came back with The Miz Taraj. I remember he had a little feud with Roman Reigns as well. He had a feud with Seth Rollins too.
He's had a feud with everyone.
He has, to be fair. He really has feuded with everybody.
That'll be my game next week. As this person
Who has The
feud with
Miz had a pay-per-view match with? Yeah, that would be a
will
tough
be
one.
correct.
Exactly. It's just a trick quiz. Every single person he's had a match with. But yeah, like after all this, I think he started turning face. You know, on SmackDown, he started turning face, and he started tagging with the best in the world, Shane McMahon. Then Shane turned heel, which surprised everybody. Shane turned heel on The Miz, and then they had their WrestleMania match, which a lot of people dislike, but I actually quite like. Like, a lot of people say, oh, it's all slow. Oh, yeah, it's The Miz and Shane McMahon. You know, what are you expecting? Fucking Okada Omega 4? Like, no. Stop it. It was good. I enjoyed it. Then they had another match at the next pay-per-view, which, if I remember, was just some crap steel cage match, which seems to be a thing The Miz likes to do. He likes to have a crap steel cage match right after his WrestleMania payday. But then,
Also,
post
Shane
that
McMahon
feud,
steel
and
cage
Shane
match.
McMahon, yeah, he does love a cheeky payday, doesn't he? Cheeky little steel cage payday. But yeah, after that, The Miz again disappeared. I think they just weren't using him because he wasn't really that over as a face. But he disappeared again, just turned heel because, of course, he did. Started tagging with Johnny Morrison. I remember they had a 2-on-1 handicap match for the Universal title against Braun Strowman that they lost because, of course, they did. Then they feuded with Otis and Tucker for a bit, and then Tucker turned on Otis, and now Tucker's been sacked. And then obviously we got the Bad Bunny feud, which obviously culminated at WrestleMania with Bad Bunny hitting a fucking Canadian destroyer on John Morrison. And yeah, that pretty much brings us up to speed with Michael Mizanin.
He's had a good career.
I forgot to
Liked...
mention he cashed in his second Money in the Bank as well. I completely forgot that.
Oh yeah, 'cause he took it from Otis, didn't he?
Yeah, he cashed it in at Elimination Chamber on Drew McIntyre. He lost it 2 weeks later, but you know.
Who won a Miz title reign?
Well, we
A
got
good
one.
one this time.
Oh, well, I think it's I'm happy with Bobby as champion, so.
Yeah. But no,
But the Miz.
I've always liked them. I've always liked the Bad Boys.
Bad boy Miz, you know.
But, I loved a bit of Wade Barrett, and
To be fair, yeah.
But I just always thought the Miz was like a comfort wrestler. Like, he
Yeah,
weren't
he's one of them
annoying.
guys. He's one of them guys that like the work
But
rate
he'll...
kind of fans won't like him, but if you just like,
Yeah.
Just turning on your TV, getting a good promo, getting like a serviceable match, Miz is your guy.
Miz is your guy, exactly. I've always felt like with like Chris Jericho, Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler as well. They always just give off a good match and a good.
I was gonna say, like, I think those guys are probably more like they'd probably give you a better match than the Miz, but I think you could probably say the Miz would give you a better promo. So it's like
They'll give you a better time, not in
yeah.
a dirty way.
Oh, he's a married man with kids, Joe. Can't be saying that.
And I say Kofi Kingston as well. He's always been a good comfort wrestler.
Yeah, Kofi's great. And the one thing that all of the people you listed in common have is they've won world titles.
Yeah. Some more than others, let's be honest.
Yeah. Jericho has won, several more than Dolph Ziggler, but yeah, we like The Miz here at the Wrestling Answers podcast. We think Mr. Mizanin is
we bring
good.
him up every week, so we better like.
Yeah, we do bring him up pretty much every week, so we might as well like him.
Don't you walk away.
Don't you walk away from me, Daniel.
You have to watch that again.
Just watch that on repeat before the next episode. But yeah,
that's my alarm.
Just wake up. Don't you walk away from me, Daniel.
I'm like, fuck it up.
I am the Intercontinental Championship. I am the world's best wrestler. Oh, he's just giving out to Daniel. Daniel just leaves halfway through. Good stuff.
Just walks away.
He walks away from him. Even though he said not to. But yeah, I think that's really all we have to say today. Yeah, of course. Join us next week, where there'll probably just be more of the same. Because I doubt we're going to try and drastically change it. Yeah, there'll be more wrestling answers. There'll be different questions for the true or false, yes or no,
and
0
or
one
1
segment.
week, I promise you.
Maybe, perhaps.
You will get 1 wrong.
But yeah, with that in mind, guys, I've been Miamo Jeff 53. And
I've been Joebot 22 as well.
So he has.
Always.
Well, yeah, I haven't changed my name halfway through, so yeah, I think that wraps us up. See you guys for next week's episode, and don't
Farewell.
walk away from me, Daniel.
Don't walk away from